For those of you who have looked at the sermon title and think that the sermon title has something to do with the length of the sermon, you will be sadly disappointed. All right, I want you to think about what is a sport, especially at the high school and college level, that is about 6 minutes long, if it goes its full length. That's a possibility. Certain races would be about that length. That's not what I'm thinking of, though. Not arm, but wrestling. Yes. Yeah. All right. So, I'm going to turn it on here. So, this is the high school wrestling sort of thing. In period 1, you got one person on the bottom, one person on the top, and then you switch places. I wrestled in junior high. Now, something to realize about my wrestling. I was at a disadvantage. I was short for my weight class. See how that works? Short for my weight class. Think about it, you'll get it later. So the guy I was wrestling in this tournament was taller than me and had longer arms. And so I was keeping up with him, but the first 2 rounds we were deadlocked. And so the third round, in our wrestling anyway, you start in neutral position. You're both standing, kind of at attention, kind of crouched, and you're junior high boys, you're trying to snarl and look as mean as you can and look at each other. So my coach told me, I think the best thing to do is to take him off guard. Go out and poke him in the forehead, right between the eyes. Not hard. You don't get a foul, don't get a penalty, but just go out, pop him between the eyes so it takes him off guard, and take him down. You get the 2-point takedown, and maybe you can get a pin. So I went out, and I popped him in the forehead, and I can still see his eyes. And I got the 2 points, and I went on and I won the match. It was great. And my coach was celebrating. But as I reflect on that was cheap. That wasn't like who's stronger, who's the better wrestler. That's who gave the quickest cheap shot to be able to get the takedown.
I would totally do that. Thank you for advice.
Today we're going to think about Jacob wrestling with God. And Jacob's wrestling up to this point was non-stop cheap shots. If we think about his wrestling, Jacob wrestled with his brother Esau and wrestled away the birthright by deception. He wrestled his father's blessing away by deception. He wrestled a bunch of belongings away from his father-in-law after a lot of give and take, but he came out the winner. Jacob has been winning, but it's been cheap, time and time again. And in today's passage, Jacob wrestles with God. A little bit of background before we get to the wrestling match to know what's going on. Jacob is returning to his homeland, and he's going to cross paths with his brother Esau. Remember the last time Jacob and Esau wanted to kill Jacob. And so Jacob sends some people out to find out how Esau's doing, and they say, Esau's coming to greet you with 400 men. Read between the lines, this might not be good. Wrestling match is coming. So Jacob goes right into cheap shot moves, and so he puts a bunch of livestock out in front and says, this is my gift for my brother Esau, who I love so much. And then he next places his least favorite wife, and then he places his favorite wife and his favorite son. Jacob doesn't have everything figured out yet. So he's still going with his pattern of, I'm getting ready for this wrestling match, I'm getting everything lined up the way I want it. And this is what happens. Genesis chapter 32, starting with verse 22. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone. and the man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of the hip was touched near the tendon. A couple of take-homes that I'd like us to make sure we hold on to with this story. First of all is Jacob was alone. Jacob is entirely alone. His family is in another place. He's trying to go to sleep, and I just see him as being restless. That long, dark night of not being able to sleep. He's got so much going on through his mind, and he feels entirely alone. I'm thinking that all of us have been in a place similar to Jacob at some point in our lives, probably more than once, that long, dark night of wrestling with a problem. Interesting in this story, all of a sudden wrestling breaks out. It's not what you expect unless you've heard the story before. You don't think, oh, this is where wrestling happens. I was just at primary camp with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, so this is no surprise to me. I'm like, oh yeah, wrestling's going to happen now. Yeah, sure, this is what happens. All right? And so we go from all by himself, wrestling, and then the story ends with surrender. Jacob is engaged and he's doing well, but he can't win. And in fact, he's wounded permanently, and he ends up surrendering. But an interesting thing about his surrender is that amidst surrender, he clutches and holds on and begs for a blessing. We're going to come back to that idea of how he surrendered, yet he hung on. I'm guessing, for most people here, you have not physically wrestled with God. Guessing. If you have, you can tell me your story later, but not now. But I think that most of us, if not all of us, have wrestled with a problem. Maybe it's been a problem of some sort of financial thing. Maybe it's been a problem of a tragedy or family illness. Or maybe like Jacob, it's a family struggle. Of something that's just kept us up at night because there's some sort of family struggle going on. Whatever it is, we have faced that long, dark night like Jacob. Since I'm an expert on wrestling, because I wrestled in junior high, I'm going to teach you how to wrestle today. All right?
Sure.
Yeah, you're stuck with it anyway. That was a rhetorical question. Even if you say no, I'm still going to go. From the story of Jacob, we get an idea of how to wrestle with our problems. So I want to go through a few points. The first one is that we need to engage the problem. Jacob engaged the problem that was at hand. I had a problem at camp that I needed to engage this week. And it needed to act right away. So I got into camp. I was responsible for a few boys in one dorm. We'd been there about an hour. Everything was going well. I was up at the basketball court, and I looked down, and coming from Stern's dorm, namesake of Crandall Hill, coming from Stern's dorm, smoke is pouring out of the building. I mean, it's just, and I think, that's weird. But I had to act, right? I couldn't just stand there and say, oh, that's neat, get the marshmallows. Had to act, had to go. So I ran down, get down there, and the camp director, Pastor Steve, and Pastor Ken are standing there, looking at it. Act. wasn't smoke. What had happened, the door didn't close well on the dorm, and the kids had been told to close the door hard so it latches. And one of the boys closed the door hard, and the fire extinguisher fell off the wall, and when it hit the floor, it engaged, and it emptied all of its contents. And so coming out of the windows was pouring out all of the, you get the foam inside, and then you have the propellant and everything going up out of the windows. And so it looked pretty impressive. But I had to act now. Right? When I found out it wasn't smoke, it wasn't as exciting. But still, there are times in life in which we need to act now. That's what Jacob is at. He needed to act now. I think we fall into two traps when we try to act now. One is we just do it our way. That's what Jacob is doing here. Jacob's like, I got a problem? All right, I'm going to send some gifts to Esau. I'm going to put my less favorite wife out front. I'll keep the good ones in the back. He's just doing it his own way. There's no sense of he's praying to God, he's trying to figure out what's best, what God's leading him to do. He's just doing it because he needs to act now. On the other hand, we can fall into a trap on the opposite side. This is actually something we talked about in men's group the last time, of hopping into a canoe without a paddle. Of saying, God, take me where I need to go. Just take me down your stream. And God directs us, God leads us, but he's also calling us to paddle along with him. And when we're not paddling along with him, we end up in the pucker brush. We end up off on the side, stuck in a sandbar. If we just are looking for God to just do everything without joining him in his work, we're not engaging the problem. So the first step in wrestling with a problem is engaging it. All right, so you have the two sides we can fall on, doing it all ourselves or just saying, I have nothing to do. So going down the middle, engage the problem. From engage the problem, we also need to go deeper than a superficial problem. Remember from the youth message, peeling the banana? Where's the banana? So much for that illustration. So, peel the banana, in which our problems are much more than what's just on the surface. Jacob's problem was not just his brother Esau. That's a big problem, the family strife, but there was something underneath that needed to be dealt with. Jacob has been resisting God his whole life. Jacob's been fighting against God, rebelling against God his whole life. That's the bigger issue. And I think for all of us, quite often we get stuck at the superficial level of what a problem is. Of maybe, well actually, how often is it that we kind of catch ourselves in a day in which, somebody irritates us in a grocery store, or somebody drives and really irritates us how they drive, or the sermon's long and we get irritated, or all sorts of things can irritate us. And then at the end of the day we think, why was I getting irritated? Was the grocery line really that bad? Or was it because this is going on in my life? I have this relationship that's broken, and it's just eating at me. And so now when these other things happen, it just touches me off. We can stay at the superficial level and just think, well, I just get mad because people are morons when they drive. Or we realize we're just being set off by something on the surface, and what's underneath is what's really causing that problem. That's what's going on for Jacob here. It's not just that his brother Esau is mad at him. The underlying issue is that Jacob has a problem with God. So we go deeper than the superficial problem. The third step is to grapple with God. This is kind of an interesting thing in which Jacob grapples and clings. So Jacob wrestles with God. He's wrestling, he's doing whatever. But at the end of it, he's clinging to God, begging for a blessing. That's a key part of wrestling with God. quite often we put our mask on and we don't really wrestle with God. We don't. I don't. Maybe you're different. I don't always tell God how disappointed I am about something. Of, God, I don't understand this. God, this doesn't make any sense. I put a mask on, and because I want to be the good Christian, and so, God, this happened, and how about you take care of that, and not really get to the gut level of, God, this is rotten. I don't understand this, and really wrestling with Him. And an interesting thing about wrestling with God is by the time you're done wrestling with Him, you're holding on and clutching to Him, asking for His blessing. Jacob started out trying to win, trying to wrestle and resist like he always had done. But once he got to a point where he couldn't defeat God, where he realized he couldn't, he came to a point in which he held on to God for dear life. Too often, I'm afraid that when I pray, I give God my wish list. Fix this, fix this, fix this, and fix this. I don't wrestle with God and say, this is the way it is. Help me understand it, because I don't get it. Let me hold on to you. And I want to explain what this clinging is, how I picture Jacob clinging to God at the end of this wrestling match. And I've told a few of you this story before, but it's the best way to explain clinging. It goes back to when Cindy and I were dating. So this is a very romantic story. She hadn't driven a four-wheeler very much, so I was teaching her how to drive a four-wheeler. She drove slower than my grandmother. We went like 1 mile an hour. Just really slow. We're never going to get anything done. So I'm riding on the back and encouraged her to speed up. And it really wasn't happening. And so we got to a gateway and we're going into a pasture that was very muddy. And it was also where animals congregated. So there were other things besides just mud. Okay? It was a little bit deepish. And it was wet and muddy. And I said, you've got to go fast through here or we'll get stuck. And then we have to pull it out. It's going to be a pain. So go through here fast. And since you've been driving so slow, I was very emphatic about drive fast. So I opened the gate, I got on the back, so I'm facing backwards, and I'm loosely holding on like I have been, and then all of a sudden I heard, and I have never had such a fast ride. I mean, the front end is up in the air, and she's going through the mud, and of course we're going through mud and other stuff, and it is spraying everywhere. I'm coated. I'm not opening my mouth at this point, I can tell you that much. And it is everywhere, arms coated, and I am clutching for dear life. We got to the other side, and he said, how did I do? Take a look. It's that sort of clinging for dear life. When we are honest and wrestle with God about this isn't going well, God, I don't understand what's going on. Help me through this. That sort of real wrestling with God over issues and struggles. By the time we're done, we should be holding on to Him for dear life because we realize He is the one we need to cling to, not our circumstances. After grappling with God, we should expect a transformation. When we are honest and really wrestle with God, on the other side, we should be expecting a change. This is the point in which Jacob's name is changed. From Jacob to Israel. He changes from the one who clutches the foot. The one, when he was born, was clutching the foot of his brother because he wanted to pass his brother even then. The one who's willing to deceive to get whatever he wants. Is changed from that to Israel, the one who strives with God. He has gone from deception to wrestling to the one who is going to surrender and cling to God. That's the sort of transformation that we can expect when we're honest with God. Too often when I face struggles, I'm not honest with God. And I never get in the ring to wrestle. I'm not saying that Jacob started in the right spot in his wrestling match. He was looking to get his way again like usual. But he was willing to be honest with God. He was willing to struggle. But on the other side, he was changed because of transformation. So I started with my great wrestling story from junior high. And I want to end with a 6-minute challenge for you. Sam's going to hand out my 6-minute challenge. And if you're following the points of engage, deeper, grapple, and expect, it adds up to edge. Quiet time at camp is really good, all right? So, edge. How often do we live life on the edge? In which things that are going on around us just puts us on the edge of life. It feels like we're just at the edge where we have a decision to make, where we need to jump, or just all these confusing things going around us. How do we get through this struggle? I think this acronym helps us. When we're at that edge, to engage the problem, to go deeper than what's on the surface, to be honest and grapple with God, and to expect transformation. There's some verses along with each of these, and I'd ask you to pray this psalm as you go through these. And I'd like you to try this 6-minute challenge. It'll probably take more than one day. But take a problem, take a struggle that is going on in your life right now that puts you on edge, and pray through this, talk through this with God. That's the homework for this week.